Hello, welcome to Retro Toy Princess. I am Allison Troy, and today we are doing a flip through of a vintage Golden Girl and the Guardians of the Gemstones Coloring Book. It was published by Happy House, which is a division of Random House. And really quick, it was published in 1986. And if you know anything about the Golden Girl property, you'll know that's 2 years after the Golden Girl toys actually started hitting toy shelves. They were released at the tail end of 1984 and really started showing up in early 1985, around the time to compete with Mattel's Princess of Power / She-Ra, as most people know her. Yeah, so this would have instantly, the 2 for $1 sticker, this was immediately discounted, so this probably went straight to the 80s equivalents of stores like Big Lots and that sort of thing. Like this was probably not ever on the shelf at Walmart, or KB toy stores probably had some of these, but this was instantly sent to discount stores. And that's sort of the risk that you run whenever you release something tied to an unproven property such as Golden Girl. It may not sell because the toy line itself didn't do well. There were 3 books released in the series: Golden Girl and the Guardians of the Gemstones, which is this one. Dragon Queen Cast a Spell. That one's the story to color. And The World of Golden Girl, which is a coloring and activity book. I have all 3 of these. I got all 3 of those in one lot on eBay. And we're just gonna do the flip through on the one today. If enough people want to see a flip through of the other 2, I can do those later. I probably will anyway, because I'm gonna be doing a bunch of Golden Girl content, and it would make sense just to do all 3 of the books over time. So really quick, let's do a flip through. Move Rainbow Bright out of the way there. We have actually Ken Barr, who did the cover art. It's actually really nice for a coloring book in the 80s. It's pretty good art. Very fantasy, very, I don't want to quite say Frank Franzetta, because it's not quite as fantastical as he would do, but it's pretty fantastical. So it definitely fits in that sort of sword and sorcery genre that He-Man was sort of inspired by. So anyway, it starts with the actual story of Golden Girl, which, if you know the history of this property, there was never a cartoon for this. There was an animated commercial that came out around the time the toys were coming out. So there's a lot of sort of speculation that they had planned a cartoon and it didn't quite work out. And the art in this book matches the animation style, whereas the art on the book better matches the action figures. So it's possible that this was, when they thought there might be an animated series, this was sort of made to tie in. Anyway, we get, a long time ago, on an island far away, lived the peaceful people of Argonia. Unlike Masters of the Universe, at times it seems like Golden Girl was supposed to be set in Earth's past instead of like on an alternate planet, but it's also not really clear, so it's hard to say. So we're getting basically the story of this world that the toys are set in, and there's a wise old king who ruled the Argonians. There were unfriendly barbarians, Ogre, and he was the leader of the unfriendly barbarians. He actually was a figure in the Golden Girl line, if you're not familiar with Golden Girl. And then the king of Argonia lived in a palace with his 2 daughters. One, the gentle Solara, or Solaria. Would have helped if we had a cartoon to tell us how to pronounce that. She was as good as she was beautiful, but the other was an evil sorceress with a heart as dark as midnight. She was called Dragon Queen. Dragon Queen is the villain of the Golden Girl franchise. I guess we could call it a franchise, even though it never sort of. There were coloring books, there were games, there was a product line, so we'll call it a franchise. Solara was never made as a figure. So it's a curious choice that sort of the way they set this up. But anyway, yeah, so Solaria was and Dragon Queen, the daughters of the king, and one of them is the villain. Inside the palace was a star-shaped shield of stones. At each point there was a ruby, a sapphire, a jade, an onyx, and gold. A piece of the long-lost gemstone in the center had special magical powers. The king decreed that the five bravest women in the land should become guardians of the gemstones. They would keep the Argonians safe from the barbarians. Let's see, this is sapphire, this is onyx, this is jade, and then that's ruby, and that's Solaria. And as you can see, there's a reason we didn't get a toy of her. Probably because we only got one series of Golden Girl. And these pages are just a breakdown of who each of the Guardians are. This is pretty decent. It's very close to comic book art and, you know, of the time. A little bit more than a coloring book, so it's, you know, fun art. Some of these you will recognize. If you watch my shorts, I have done short time lapses from several of these pages in this book. The third guardian was the raven-haired onyx, and then sapphire over here. And for whatever reason, the coloring book spells sapphire with one P instead of two. The toy had twos. So I don't know if that was a copyright thing or if the toy was intended to be spelled that way and somebody fixed it, or a variety. But for whatever reason, in all of these coloring books, they spell sapphire with the one P. And then the fifth guardian, Solaria, was leader of the guardians. She had a shield of gold to protect the magic gemstone. And again, this is a unique design for her shield. It kind of becomes relevant in a second or two. What is interesting is how very much her headdress looks like She-Ra's headdress. So I'm wondering if part of the reason the toy didn't happen or if it was even planned. I don't know. We know a little bit about unplanned toys for this toy line. I've seen nothing in the limited amount that's out there that would indicate Solaria was ever planned, but her headdress is very She-Ra-esque. So anyway, Dragon Queen was furious that she wasn't chosen as one of the guardians. She left Argonia and went to live in a gloomy castle near the home of the evil Ogre. Basically this is her and her minions, her followers plotting, and these were of course all figures. That's Voltura, Moth Lady, and Wild One. So each of these were figures. And basically the four of them trapped Solaria, but to keep the gemstone from her, Solaria jumped into a bottomless pit. Of course it's a kid's coloring book, and a kid's property, so they don't actually just come out and say she, you know, unalived herself, as you say on the YouTubes and the social media platforms if you don't want it suppressed. So the remaining guardians decided to hold games of skill and strength. The winner would be the new leader. And then Dragon Queen says to Ogre, I will win those silly games. So here we get, and this is the page I'm going to color, that you'll see me coloring at the end of this video. And this is introducing Golden Girl. I guess her name is Golden Girl, so I guess she doesn't have a proper name. She's just born and her mom is like, your name is Golden Girl. Solaria appears to her in a dream, telling her of the games and asking her to compete in them. So she has to set out for Argonia to go to the games, and She goes through a sandstorm, and then inside of a cave, she finds a bit of crystal. And she puts this into a belt and a pouch in her belt, which I'm not sure where that pouch is on her belt, but she does so. She crosses a desert, she climbs the misty mountains, and she saves a white horse from a mountain lion. But it's not just any horse, it's a legendary unicorn, again, shades of She-Ra. And then after she treats the wounds, she climbs onto its back. I will call you Olympia. This is them going to Argonia, and if you're familiar with Golden Girl, you will recognize this as the Palace of Gemstones, which is the play set for this toy line. And Golden Girl goes to the arena. And then we've got pages of the tournament. This is very Wonder Woman-esque. If you're familiar with the origin of Wonder Woman, Diana competes in a contest to pick the best Amazon to go to the patriarch world to defend humankind against Ares and stop his evil war plots. So there's a chariot race, and of course both of these horses and chariots were released as part of the toy line. And then she wins, and she's elected leader, and they're all very happy. Dragon Queen and Ogre are not happy. So there's a big battle. Again, this was intended for kids, so and girls. Like, this was envisioned as a girls' toy line. They all had hair that you could comb. There was hair play, as they call it. So yeah, this goes pretty hard for a toy line geared for, like 4 to 12-year-old girls in the 80s, but I guess they definitely were wanting to compete with Masters of the Universe, so went a little bit harder than the Motu cartoon. Again, if it had become a cartoon, it probably wouldn't be quite this intense. Maybe this is why it wasn't a cartoon, was because of, like, this guy's got this big gnarly scar, and, there aren't women barbarians. The Guardians of the Gemstones are fighting and holding their own against men, so that's pretty cool. Very, very progressive. We get Golden Girl rescuing the handsome Prince Chroma, who has been tied up to a pole. I'll leave you to make your jokes there. And then Prince Chroma agrees to join forces with the Guardians. They tell him the tale of the missing gemstone. So we're getting the entire setup of sort of the story for these toys. So again, it's too bad this didn't hit store shelves at the same time the toys were coming out, because I think this would have maybe sold a few more toys if kids had known what the story was. Luckily, they tell Prince Chroma about the gem, right? Because then she remembers that she has that crystal in her pouch, and I'm not sure where the pouch is on her belt, but somewhere she had this big crystal gemstone in a pouch. So there's some magic in this world because she has a magical invisible pouch, and it's also magical enough that it can hold that entire crystal. And she puts down the fractured crystal, and the shield regains its power. But they have no time to celebrate because they have to go fight barbarians who have summoned dragons. Well, Dragon Queen, some sea serpents, and a magical mist. So these two are definitely like sort of sea serpents, but this guy back here is very Kraken-esque. This is very Vikings, like the design of these boats. It just sort of reinforces to me that they probably intended this to be set on Earth in the past, rather than on a different planet. Golden Girl returns to her kingdom in triumph. After celebration, she stood on the balcony with Prince Chroma. Her wandering days were over. She had found a new home. So obviously Prince Chroma was set to be sort of the romantic lead to Golden Girl. So yeah, that's the coloring book. As I said, I have done some of these as coloring shorts, and I'm going to do one of these. Well, I've already actually filmed the coloring, but through the magic of editing, in a few seconds you'll see me color that sort of big page. So I thought it was really nice. Sort of portrait page. Where's it at? Right here. Like, this is a really good page to color. So this has all been, I've scanned my copy of this. I also have, and there's a link in the description to retro reprints. They actually have all three of the Golden Girl books. So if you saw this and you thought, well, this is a book I might want, you can get it digitally at retro reprints. It's not horribly expensive. So definitely check out the link, look it up there if you want to get this. And then you can just print it out, print out whatever pages you want on whatever kind of paper you want to use. Because these books do still go on eBay for, I remember I got all three of them in a single lot. It was like $30 with shipping, which isn't bad for 3 vintage uncolored books. But they go for, I've seen them go for like $25 a piece. So the prices of them are all over. So if you are interested in this and not wanting to pay eBay prices, if you have a printer or if you color digitally, you can get this one at retro reprints. And if you have watched any of my Golden Girl videos, there is a playlist that I've set up with all of the pages I've done so far. You will recognize several of them are from this book. And you'll see there will be shorts. There will be more shorts, and there are a few of the color and chill videos that I do on Fridays that are usually where I do these double page spreads. So you will see some of these pages pop up there and in shorts. Because I'm enjoying it. I'm going to color this entire book over time because I like the idea of having it complete in color, sort of like the storybook we never got as kids. Although there are storybooks, but if you look at the prices of the Golden Girl books on eBay, it's like $100 to $150 in some cases. So while I would love to own all of those, unless I happen upon a really inexpensive one or whatnot, I'm just going to keep reading them on the Internet Archive, where somebody has scanned in sort of their battered old copies. So anyway, yep, this is it. And there's some cool stuff in here. And I'm going to color this page. And that'll happen through the magic of editing in a few seconds.